3, 2, whenever you feel it.
I've never been lucky, always played it safe, but life doesn't pay when you're in the slow lane. The blame game's over, did you bet on me? Yeah, I built this cage, but I found the key. Something's bound to break, yeah, I think it's me. Yeah, I gotta shake this weight off of me. I'm gonna yell if I want, gonna scream if I want, gonna sing how I want, gonna dance how I want, gonna yell if I want, gonna scream if I want, gonna sing how I want, gonna dance if I want to. I just wanna feel alive. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I've been told not to walk that way. Don't raise your voice or make any waves. You can roll your eyes like I'm a drama queen. Don't wanna tone it down, I wanna cause a scene. Something's about to break, yeah, I think it's me. Yeah, I gotta shake this weight off of me. I'm gonna yell if I want, gonna scream if I want, gonna sing how I want, gonna dance how I want, gonna yell if I want, gonna scream if I want, gonna sing how I want, gonna dance if I want to. Don't wanna sit down no more, ain't gonna shut up like you want. You might think I'm too much, living off the cuff. Well, just maybe I'm not enough. I'm gonna yell if I want, gonna scream if I want, gonna sing how I want, gonna dance how I want, gonna yell if I want, gonna scream if I want, gonna sing how I want, gonna dance if I want to.
Whew. I got goose bumps.
Yes.
I got goose bumps. Ladies and gentlemen, listeners, lovers, and friends, it is a warm welcome to the Prodcast. Up above Dave Grohl Alley in the Two Ticks and the Dog Production Studios with my main man behind the microphone, Barry Berkey,
What's going on?
and the beautifully talented, soulful, and donut-bringing Jackie
Yes.
Popovec from the Vindys. Welcome to the show, Jackie.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Damn.
Wait, how do I turn down, like, you guys a little bit? Because it's really loud.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Two?
The second. Yep, you got it. Number 2. Number 2.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be here, and I'm excited to eat these donuts.
We are too.
We're excited to eat these donuts, too. I'm going to tell you what. I'm a little bit more excited
Oh, it's delicious.
to drink this Panther Town Pilsner, courtesy of Adam Keck over at Modern Methods.
Great job,
wait.
Adam.
You've been opening that can for other podcasts, like
Yes.
in your other podcasts, and I always thought that you just like flew it in.
Sometimes
You're doing it
Yeah, we do
live.
it live.
Yes.
Remember that Bill O'Reilly? Fuck it, we'll do it live. Do it live.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, I have a pouring sound. Glug, glug, glug. Shh.
Oh, I heard that.
Like
yeah,
it has that. So, but yeah, we popped this thing live for
Natural.
Jackie.
We have to stay
Popovec.
hydrated. I mean, it's
We
important.
got to stay
Yeah.
hydrated. It's a hot one out there.
Yeah, I have my water, my beer, and my coffee. So
Yeah, everyone.
perfect.
Listen, everyone listening, we're socially distanced and very, very hydrated.
Yes.
yeah. But about these donuts, they're not just any donuts.
Yes, please tell us about them.
Now, I was saying earlier, I said you don't go to another county or another city without bringing what your city is all about. Now, couldn't bring the pizza because
because I was at work all day. And then also Handel's ice cream, which would be my second go-to. But like that would melt because it's 103 degrees today.
Yeah.
So you guys get donuts.
We're
That's
excited.
the third.
Which, listen, I gotta say, to all you other guests, the 39 episodes prior, other than Ron Book, who brought us beer, Jackie's number one because she's the only one that brought us anything. Brandon Giovanni, MDI Studios, shout out. He's on hiatus. He's on maternity leave, an extended maternity leave. He's gonna listen to this and be jealous.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Blueberry donuts, if everybody's listening. The blueberry donuts at White House in Canfield, they have a t-shirt after that. I think that's how famous they are. So guys got to try them
people
out.
get in line for these donuts. Anybody that's listening from outside the area, outside the state, or outside the country, they get in line.
They run out of them.
They run out? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they do.
I feel really. Thank you.
Yeah.
You're very considerate. Jackie's very considerate.
The only one that gets a bite back.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, like if you guys are coming over to Youngstown, I'd be like, hey, what the fuck? Where's the beer? Where's the modern methods? You
Right,
know?
right. And I said, well, we'll bring you hot dogs from the hot dog shop. And she said she's a jib jab chick,
Yep.
which is okay. We'll let it slide.
Yeah. You got to.
Yeah. You wouldn't want to bring hot dogs today because it was too hot, man. It's too hot.
Too hot for hot dogs.
Too hot for hot dogs. I'm going to tell you what was hot, though. That fucking song was hot.
Thank you.
I'm going to use Jimmy Vegas word. That shit was fire. Okay? Right? Doesn't he use that?
Yeah,
Shit was fire. Legit, we were talking. This is the truth. Jackie and I and Barry all talked ahead of time, right? We do a little pre-show and we get to know you and thank you for the donuts. And we had a little pre-show, a little talk ahead of time. Barry and I have a pre-talk ahead of time. And we
pre-talk before the pre-talk.
Pre-talk before the pre-talk, right? So we can be on the same page or whatever. And we asked Jackie, like, hey, listen, we want you to be really comfortable, but we're going to, like, not throw you softballs. We're going to deliver, some stuff. And one of the things we talked about was the Vindys. Jackie's the lead singer for the Vindys, right? She plays guitar and lead vocals. She's the front person. I don't know if we were talking about politically correct.
Yeah, right.
What's politically correct now? And all
Just don't ask me how I feel about being a woman in the band. The only woman.
Yeah, right. I can imagine that has some challenges to it.
Oh, totally.
But we love a lot of the music. Not all the songs. It's just like not all the beers that Modern Methods brews is just not for my palate, right? I particularly, there's a couple of songs, and we'll get to talking about them later, where I listened and I was like, man, your voice is phenomenal. And I'll say that with a little bit of context. Not a whole lot, but a little bit just in the rock scene locally or in Youngstown or whatever. There's been some pretty talented female leads within the last 20 years. And the two top that come to my mind are Kelly from the Kellys, who did a lot of vocal acrobatics and things of that nature, but just a very soft and beautiful voice, a lot of control. And probably little known was a girl named Sadia Mills, who sang jazz. They used to play at Avalon and would sit in, and she was also fire. And your voice is great. But one of the things we talked about, like, get to the fucking point, Jim, right? One of the things we talked about was, I don't know if there's a hit there. There's some really good music, but I don't know where the single's at. Now, this is typical of bands that are like, you guys are still developing and whatnot. That is I had goosebumps listening to that song right now.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, legit. I know when the shit's good when the hair on my arm stands up. And when you were singing, I was like hoping I was mixing it okay.
Really good.
It was fucking. Did you write that song?
I did, yeah. So, this one, this album that's coming out, this song was just released today via radio on the Summit this afternoon, and we're really proud of everything. But it's like with the COVID stuff and everything, it's been like, as soon as we get the music, we're like trying to release it as fast as possible. But with this particular album, I have brought, like, Keep Going, which is an album that we released in 2017. That was our first LP. I primarily wrote all those songs, brought those to the guys and said, hey, can you lay down some stuff on this? So chords and music were all done by me. This one has had, like, it's been 3 years since we put out new music. So it's kind of been through the washer and dryer as far as like, you know, people getting their hands on it and saying this, we should do this or arrange it like this, or someone's going to write a bridge here. So I feel more comfortable with the band as far as bringing them a short idea and then going off of that. I trust these guys, you know, fully just because of how well versed they are as far as improvisationalists, as far as musicians. I mean, a lot of them are classically trained, and they're teachers and professors. They really know the craft. And it's been a really interesting experience kind of like developing a sort of Vindy's sound, which we don't really even know what that is.
Yeah.
It's hard to describe because, like you said, your palate might lean over to a song or two here or there, but like not maybe some of the, I don't know, the country stuff or the jazzy stuff. I mean, it's kind of everywhere. So this album is, you know, furthermore creating a cohesive sound for the Vindys.
Team, man. You guys are in a team.
Yeah.
You're forming Led Zeppelin.
There you
as
go.
much as Robert Plant was the, you know, the voice and the style, the front man.
Jimmy.
You had Jimmy. You
Yeah.
had John Paul Jones, and you had Bonham on. I mean, like,
That whole band.
incredible.
The entire band.
one of your songs actually reminds me. There's a riff in there. It's Chasin'.
Yeah.
And there's like a little bit of a Zeppelin and kind of like this down dirty blues kind of like in the club kind of shit that's really hip. And then you have a really, what's cool is a real duality. Did I pronounce that correct? Duality.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
Let me
It's
check.
the stickiness. I'm convincing myself to have more Panther time. You have another song called Classic, and it's got a real cool jazz.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different than
Completely
Jason.
different. Yeah.
So I think your style, the band's sound is, and this is not a knock on the players, because that's another thing we talked about, and we talked about it kind of in the quote-unquote green room ahead of time. Your players are phenomenal. Like, the band is phenomenal.
That is one thing that I can tell people immediately
Well,
is that
I told you the Dave Matthews story, right? Like,
Yeah.
my uncle was like, oh, Dave Matthews, but I won't repeat it, but Dave Matthews surrounded himself with incredible musicians. But here's the thing. You know when you're listening to a Dave Matthews song. You know why?
His voice.
Blah, blah, blah. That's your style.
Right here. Right
Like,
there.
Jackie Popovec, this is not a takeaway from the band. The band is fucking legit. They're
Right.
awesome. The style is you. So you get to set, hey, I can do jazz, kind of some Billie Holiday kind of shit, or I can get into, like, you kind of remind me, we were talking about this earlier, you kind of remind me your style on stage and some of your flair of like a Stevie Nicks. Like, I know there's that kind of wispy dress, you know, look kind of thing. Obviously there's comparisons with your voice to Amy Winehouse and things of that nature, and I've seen that in other shows. And I don't want to ask you, I already told you this, I don't want to ask you stuff that we've already heard. What's some of your influences aside of the obvious ones, aside of the Amy Winehouse and the ones you just mentioned?
You know, I always tell people Steven Tyler was a huge influence on me.
I can see that, yeah.
With music, though, like, I feel like I grew up and started from where I was in music, and then I had to kind of backtrack to find all these other great jazz musicians, or like of the day, that I had no idea. My parents were never like, didn't have records. They had tapes that I just like with a pencil and took it out, like, you know. But like, I had to start, you know, with what I had, which was iTunes, and then via that search who influenced the people that I'm listening to on the radio now. So Alanis Morissette, Norah Jones, I was huge on, Whitney Houston, Celine Dion, big voices. I would try to, I'm really good at mimicking voices.
Yeah.
And we always joke about it. I can sound like Shakira, or, you know, we've done, you know, several different little
Give us your Shakira.
videos.
Give us a little Shakira.
Oh, God.
Oh, baby, when you move like that. That's me, by the
That
way.
wasn't
yeah.
Jackie.
Oh, baby, when you talk like that, you make me want to go mad.
Wow.
I mean, it's not.
It's
great,
legit.
but
That was legit. That was legit.
It's not bad.
That wasn't
It's not
bad at all. It wasn't bad at all. Who else? Who's some of the classic ones? You grew up when? Give us a little bit of a history of you. You're from Youngstown. Where you went to school?
Yes. So
You don't have to tell us your age.
So my mom is Mexican. She came from Mexico. My dad was in Youngstown. As far as how I grew up, it was like I was a really bored kid, and my mom was like sick of me, and she got me this like standard tapes, like 40 different CDs that you could put into your karaoke, like this karaoke machine. And it was actually a pretty high quality thing that she got me. And I just like sat there and sang for like 10 hours a day during the summer times. I'm not kidding you.
I believe you.
And she'd be like ironing, and she's very like, no, do it again. You didn't write. You don't sound like Whitney Houston. Like, like, you got to get that pitch. You got to get that high note. And I'm like, oh my God. And so that was my
She's your music teacher.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I never had lessons. I mean, I think I tried lessons once or twice, but they literally just play piano for me to sing on top of. But my mom kind of challenged me into trying to sound exactly like Beth or like Hart, and
Yeah.
like
That's cool. Right.
huge voices. So like, then I started playing guitar.
How old were you?
I was around 13.
Okay.
And I started like finding out that I'm playing these songs not along with these artists. I'm playing songs and I'm listening to my tones and all the capabilities that I have. And somehow in between, I asked my dad, who is a food rep in the area. He has clients of bars, restaurants. I said, hey, I have a set like of covers. Can you ask your friends to like let me play? And I'm 13, 14 years old. From there, I've been gigging ever since.
No
like
shit.
Wow.
I mean, I loved it.
Half your life. You've been playing half your life.
Yeah,
out in public.
It's like, and then I was like 14, 15, and I started like, people were like giving me drinks and stuff. I'm not kidding you. Like, I'm not going to tell you which bars, but I was like, I know which bar I'm coming back to to play. So I wasn't even driving. My parents were driving me to these places. And I bought my first car with the money that I made, and it was kind of cool to like, I wasn't like ever a part of the plays or the musicals in school. I kind of was always just doing my own thing because I wasn't in that thing. I kind of liked what I was doing. So like I'd go play Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, like a couple hours at a time with like a couple other guys or like a little trio. And then I'd hang out with my friends afterwards. I'd go to a sleepover afterwards, like it was so weird to do at that time now that I think about it.
What were your extracurriculars at that time? Were you play sports or you do anything? Nothing?
That's what I said. Like, it's like, I just never felt like a part of that.
Were you a
whole
loner,
scene.
Jackie?
Totally. Like by the time I was in my senior year of high school, I was like eating lunch by myself in the library.
Oh, that's sad.
Oh, that's really sad.
Yeah, I know.
Man.
I would have sat down and ate with you.
Let me get you a donut.
Yeah.
Like that's what made me feel better most of the time, donuts. But no, I was okay with that though. Like I was totally
You're comfortable in your own space, in your own skin.
Because I had this other thing that I was doing outside of school that was so much more exciting to me, and other people loved it, and we had like this like musicians network that I like started following these bands. My friends, they were 18, 19 and letting me hop up on stage with them at some of the old bars in Youngstown, like Cedars and Barley's at the time.
She says old bars in Youngstown. It makes me feel old.
Yeah.
Which those places, right. They're not there anymore.
No longer exist.
Yeah.
And then so I found these guys. I found the band when I got I went to Dana School of Music, which is the YSU music school, and I hated it. I took one semester. They wanted you to like claim like voice and do opera music, and it was just I was like, this is not me at all. So I thought that's what I was supposed to do because I loved music, but I ended up going to a music production school in Florida.
Where'd you go? Full Sail?
No. Yeah, everyone says Full Sail.
Yeah.
I wish. But it was kind of like that in the sense that it was a very new school. It's called Mike Herb College of Music Production, which is the sister school of the performance one in Nashville.
Okay.
I knew I didn't want to go for performance at all. Like, I thought that learning how to record and learning how to do live shows and stuff
the skill set
would better suit me. So I did that for a couple years. When I came back, there was like, the music scene in Youngstown was like non-existent.
Yeah, it was dead. It died.
It was like, okay, so I graduated college in 2012 and I came back. And this is when I'm like at V2 downtown and I see John Anthony, my guitarist now, playing with Nick Sonato, who he's a great drummer. He's down in Nashville now. And I go, guys, you need me. I want to sing for you guys.
Jackie
I
Big
think,
Balls, ladies and gentlemen. You need me.
Yeah, they had another singer, and I was like, no. I was like, can you please, like, I'll sub in for you one time, and that was it. Like, the other girl was gone. I was a singer, and we started playing some of my original songs. And from there, like, the Summit in Akron has like done a huge thing for us, picking up our EP at the time, and getting into the Cleveland markets and Pittsburgh markets since then. It's been crazy. It's been.
You guys have had a ride, man. I see you're in Chicago, you're in New York, you're going to different places.
And
you're
this
playing
is
at the
all
Rock
off of the
Hall of
just
Fame. Yeah.
one LP that we have, so this one in particular I'm very excited about because we took it to the next level and we used the resources that we had from that last album to get a producer, to get like professional people. Like, we did everything on the LP. We did the mixing, we did everything except for the mastering. So this one I'm super, super proud of the thoughtfulness that went into designing everything for this album. So
did you feel freed that you were able to focus just on your instrumentation, the guitar and your voice, and not have to worry about, is it mixed right, and all, like let somebody else handle that? So
that's like the biggest fight with bands nowadays, because not even just on that level, because you feel like you have to do everything yourself as far as recording and stuff to get heard, and it's the marketing behind it. It's the emailing people and making sure that you're booking yourselves in the proper markets, and like, it's so much that you have to deal with as a band nowadays. I mean, before you get signed to a label and they just do everything for you, then you can really just do whatever you want. But you have to be all these things to yourself, and we do a really good job of that. We get back to people. We are making sure that we're not oversaturating markets. We're making sure that we're traveling back to the places that like we've been playing at.
Played your strengths, right?
Right. So the guys and I have had like a really great relationship as far as someone will take this over, and we have a group chat that you'll probably see 200 texts a day, but that can be annoying. But other than that,
oversaturation sometimes.
Right, you're oversaturating the group chat, guys.
Speak about the guys real quick. Who are the guys? Name the band, because for the prodders that don't know or aren't familiar.
So as the band sits now, it is because we've had several in and out. It's John Anthony on guitar, lead guitar. You have Rick Deek on rhythm guitar. There is Ed Davis, Smooth Eddie Davis on drums, and
Smooth Eddie Davis.
Oh, he is so smooth, so smooth. And we just added our bassist Matt Jackson.
Welcome, Matt.
Yeah, Matt. So that's the core group right there. But then we also have the family band, which is the horn section, and that's Kyle O'Donnell on trumpet, Brian Maley on trombone, and Tim Harker on saxophone.
So, wow. Shout out to my boy Tim Harker, who's mad fucking skilled, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Tim's gonna come Tim, years ago, you talk about the music scene, years ago, I'll throw back, the late, great Frank Castellano and Tim Harker used to jam out along with Wilbur Krebs and Jimmy Gerlacher. Well, no, I'm talking about Avalon Gardens, old Avalon Gardens, the best pizza in Youngstown. It doesn't exist anymore. Tim Harker, dude, he's one of my favorite local guys.
He's also another smooth guy. Like, he's just so phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this until he told me after we were playing together on stage with the Vindys a couple of times. He's like, Jack, you know that I played for you like when you were like 13, 14 years old.
You had no clue.
So I was probably 15, and a friend is like a sound-alike Frank Sinatra. He needed his Norah Jones little combo group to open up his big band like thing at Packard or Stambaugh. I've done that a couple times with them. So I would get a little combo, but like these guys, I had no idea who they were at the time when I was young. Like, but those guys that were around me, later on, they were like, yeah, we were in that group. Like, oh yeah, I remember playing for you and getting those charts and but really, I mean, I wasn't a part of that scene until, later on. But it is really weird how that, I was young, I was new to it, but the network of new musicians and how well everybody knows each other in Youngstown and Akron and Cleveland, it's pretty crazy. It's a really cool scene that's bubbling up now, Finally, we're seeing the venues coming back, And we really had to, as the Vindys, kind of like start it a little bit because nobody wanted to listen to original music. They're like, play that Jimmy Buffett again, or which I never played Jimmy Buffett, which, by the way, just letting you know.
Play Fins, man.
Yeah.
Fins.
But like once you like spoon feed that a little bit and people are starting to crave that and they don't see a lot of original music, then you have a thing. And then you see like other bands that are, doing the same thing and you're like, let's support each other. Let's do a show outside. Let's do stuff. And so now we have this really vibrant music community that's just like waiting to be heard, to be honest. I mean, Akron has been a savior as far as the Summit. With it being a AAA indie radio station. But Youngstown, that all went away. Even just 5 years ago, the last station that was playing, original local music. So we are climbing slowly but surely as far as the scene out there.
Well, I think that's really, I think you said a couple things that have a lot of truth to them. One of which is, and I don't think this is you being boisterous, although that's okay because you have to have a certain amount of confidence. And sometimes people be like, I've been accused of it myself. I know Barry has as well. You listen to episode 39, you might hear some bold and brash statements.
Skip that one.
It's okay to be a little cocky. I'm not saying you are because I don't think you are.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I'm not saying you are because I don't think you are.
Bold.
But bold. Because what you said is, which I agree with, you and the Vindys have really given a branding, specifically the name, which I love.
Yeah.
Right? The Vindicator and the Vindys and all that other stuff. But you've given a name and a face back to the music scene in Youngstown that didn't have, there wasn't a lot of, I mean, we talk about this all the time.
That can definitely be argued. There was bands out there that were doing it.
100%, yeah. But listen, that has a little bit more. Listen, there's like, we just talked about this. Brandon and I were on the phone earlier today, and we were having Pavlik on. We spoke about it. And Tilt 360. I don't know if you remember that band. Do you remember Tilt 360? This is years ago.
I do.
I mean, yeah, right? And they're a real kind of hard edge, like rocker kind of, but that's not, that palette is slim, right? I'm not knocking the music or I'm not knocking the style. That palette is slim. It's niche.
It's niche.
You have a rock style, but you have a jazz influence. You're bringing in, Tim, if you're listening to this, I'm not calling you old, brother, because you ain't old, man. You're old if I'm old.
You're going to hear from him.
Yeah, you're old if I'm old, but you're bringing in guys who are true maestros, Tim Harker, and
Artists.
And this is what I'm hearing. We talked about this earlier, Bear and I. Like, you're an artist. Like, that's the vibe that I'm picking up.
Yeah.
There are people who play music and they can sound good and they can sing and they can play cover, or they can go and they can play some stuff that is, it's serviceable. It's B-sides. Remember we talked about that?
B-side.
It's B-sides. But you are actually doing something that is beyond that. You have a voice. You're trying to say something. You're still finding your voice, which is awesome. Yeah, soul, man.
I'm telling you.
And you helped the catalyst to recreate the Youngstown music scene. And there's a bunch of great bands out there.
That's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
If you're saying that, I mean,
well, you're casting out too. It's not just like,
yeah,
you're in Akron, you're in Chicago, you're in all these different places where a lot of it's like, hey, we're gonna play the region. We'll play Sharon and we'll play Youngstown, and we may make it. I see you guys in Chicago. I see you in New York. I think I saw you guys in New Orleans, maybe. Nashville. I mean, so it's not just enough to. And I know the internet now, you can be out there all over the place, but you're actually traveling to these places and putting it down in front of the audience. That's another thing you said that was really intelligent, is you're connecting with audiences. Like, that's so super important.
Oh, now more than ever.
Sure.
Because if you have a band that's faceless, that you can't go and buy tickets for their show, that's hard to, like, actually get those super fans. Because, yeah, you listen to a song, but then you go to the show and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, and not just, for the Vindys, but I know that every time we get in front of people, we pick up a couple people that are like new super fans of ours. Mm-hmm. But as far as like other bands too, like you can't do you can't release something and then not go play it. It's just like you have to go out there and be the face, because people want to see. For example, Foster the People. I liked their music,
sure.
Back in
Pumped Up Kicks.
Yeah, 2010, 2011. I thought they were great. So where bands are making money now is on the road.
Right.
When I saw them in Orlando, it was a new level. I was like, I would buy another ticket again to go see them. That's how good they were live, even just different compared to the album. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to hear a band that's playing the album down. I mean, some people do. Some people, are like, I want to hear something a little bit different on stage. And that's kind of what we do with the Vindys. We're very proud of getting up there and kind of doing a different spin or a different take on the songs that we have, or maybe throwing in a cover there that's very Vindified or Vindy-esque, so
well, you're making connections too. Like, I've watched you on stage a bunch of times, and you are actively looking for connections, which I think is also another thing that is really smart. There are people who, I'll use Miles Davis because he's the extreme, although he faced the band so he could hear what was happening and be in focus, right? There's a great Netflix documentary. But he didn't need to necessarily make the connection. But it's important to do that, because now you mentioned the term super fan, or I always say like super user of a certain thing. Like, you're making the connection, and you're not like, I could like a song, but I don't care about you unless there's a connection made.
Yeah.
And I think what you guys are doing out there on the road, and by making that travel, you're putting the work in and you're making live connections. We could have this conversation across the phone, but I can't see you and you can't see me and I can't see Barry, like,
it's different.
You got to be here. Mm-hmm. All those guests who were like, hey, can we do it over the phone? No, you can't. You got to come to Two Tick Studio.
And bring donuts. Well, I think with
Come
the
down.
scene now, like she was saying, them being out there is also encouraging other artists in Youngstown now to come out and say, whoa, look what they're doing.
Well, and to do originals too.
Helping the scene even more and more.
How is that like? Did you start doing originals like as the majority of your set, or did you guys, when you first went out, like, hey, we're gonna do, like, you mentioned like Heart, I always think like the Wilson, that's like kind of your sound, and like, hey, we're gonna do like 4 of these songs, how that happen?
Well, like I did say that it was like kind of like a spoon feeding of our stuff throughout our cover sets that we were doing 3-4 hours a night, 2-3 nights a week. And then there was just, I remember the moment when we were all like, we're going to burn out on this and we hate playing 3 to 4 hour shows. Let's make a fucking rockin' ass set.
Yeah, tight.
And just do original music. We just all like collectively decided one day, like, no, we're just gonna do our own original stuff, and that's it. And I remember playing like weddings and stuff, and people still think that like that's what we do. Like they're like, oh yeah, can the Vindys come play my wedding? I'm like,
yeah, if you want all originals, we'll come rock it out for you.
Hey,
yeah,
I tell them that.
Right, I would too, and I wouldn't. Tell them that. Yeah,
so
that's like people are like, hey, do you? We get this, or not anymore, but you shoot weddings?
Yeah.
No, I don't. Does it look like I shoot weddings in this fucking place? Okay, I don't do weddings. Okay. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No,
that's a super important thing. You are an artist, though.
It was
we
the
hold
decision.
That, like us saying that, that's a lot of. We don't call it like you could slap some. These are all his paintings. Okay, you could slap some paint on the canvas and call yourself a fucking artist. That doesn't make you an artist. Okay, like you could pick up a guitar and play some tunes. That don't make you an artist. You're an artist.
100%.
It's a.
I'm impressed.
Yeah,
because we didn't really know exactly how this was going to go because we had some critiques, if you will. That song kind of answered a lot of things, and you're answering a lot of things
it's like
too.
An MTV Unplugged there.
Yeah. Will you play another? Can you play? Will you play?
Yeah,
another?
let's play another.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go. So this is another one off of the new album. This one's called Morning Light. When you showed up, I snowed down. Yeah, I just feel better when you're around. So tell me what you're doing tonight. If you got some other plans, hey, it's alright. But if you got nothing else to do, call me up, I don't mind, 'cause I just wanna stay up all night with you. Let's just see where the streets lead us to. We don't have to see the whole world in one night. As long as I'm with you, that's alright. Until the morning light. You don't have to hide just how we feel. We can tell each other our deepest fears. In the calm of the night, yeah, it makes me feel so alive. Dancing underneath the stars, yelling at the night sky, 'cause I just wanna stay up all night with you. Let's just see where the streets lead us to. We don't have to see the whole world in one night. As long as I'm with you,
till the morning light.
Now, I mean, damn, son.
I think we should just leave now.
I mean, fucking close the show, dude. I don't have any other questions. The questions were just answered right now.
They don't want to hear any more of us.
No kidding. Yo, where can we get that album at?
Well, you know what? As soon as I get it, I'll let you know, because
That'd be great.
I don't even have, like, the pre-saved Spotify. Like,
I gotta have it now.
Yes.
How many tracks are on the album?
There's 10.
Yes, perfect number.
There's 10.
Gary Lee always would say 10. Yeah, it's perfect.
10. I mean, I you know, we always think about, oh, should we just do like an EP of 4 or 5 songs?
No,
I'm
fuck
like,
that.
Fuck
Yeah,
no,
right.
Just put it out there. And now, like, during this, you know, time of COVID, I'm good. Thank you. I just have way more time to write, so I'm hoping for, you know, even more stuff soon.
Well, I
Very
think
soon.
that's everyone should be. If you're an artist, that's what you should be doing right now. You've got
It's
time.
really hard,
You're
though.
out in the woodshed. Yeah, for sure. Right.
Like for an artist mentally, like for me, getting out of bed in the morning sometimes is like what. Like I feel like
I feel you.
I feel like we're in hell, like especially with this temperature. Like during this week,
Is it hot in here?
it is hot in here
I
too.
know. I know. I got to turn the fan on. Jesus.
You're like, I can't hear the buzzing.
I'm a sound snob, man. I don't want to hear. Listen, I turn the AC off, and then I turn the what are those lights called? I'll have to cut that out.
Fluorescent?
I'll have to. Yeah,
You are a sound snob. Last week you told me to quit breathing.
Yeah, I kept the note too, so I could hold it up just in case. I don't want to hear the breathing. Yeah, I get it. I get it. The COVID.
Well, it's just like mentally, it's like hard to like, you know, get yourself motivated enough to do something. But there's a lot of stuff. There is a lot of stuff going on right now. And I feel like if I get this a little even past where I can look at things in the rear view mirror, then I can like, then that's where the bubbling happens for me as far as creative writing. So lots of journaling.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of that.
Well,
So-
see, that's what I'm saying. I think a lot of artists should be right now stocking up, like getting out in the woodshed and
Lots of ideas.
working on your shit. You know, and some of it might be good, and most of it will be crap, and you know, you decipher through it. That song. Here's a comparison for all you 80s folks out there, and this actually is. So we weren't 100% sure. We've been around a lot of, you know, music and all that stuff, as everybody is, like the music scene and everything. But I was like, man, I'm not, because I don't know Jackie. I'm at a little bit of a disadvantage, right? A lot of people that we've had prior
guys
relationships.
know.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
know, you know,
Yeah.
it's a different thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, man, I don't know. And so you came in, like Barry will know the reference, and if you know the reference, I'm super like, I'm buying you
God.
donuts and some other shit. She sounds like you have like a rock star persona, like the Ellen Aim. That's the character that Diane Lane plays in Streets of Fire. Remember Ellen Aim, right? Ellen. You know that she
She's
doesn't
looking at
know
you
it.
like,
That's okay.
what
That's
is
okay.
he
Listen.
talking?
Here's a great.
I know Diane Lane.
Yeah, right. And she's if you go watch that movie Streets of Fire, it's with Michael Paré. It's a Walter Hill film.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah, check it out. I always tell when people are in here, Julie Smith, if you listen to this, I'll be like, hey, you seen this movie? She's like, no. I go, don't come back to work until you've seen it.
You had a chart up of all the movies people have to watch.
Yeah, right. But that's the quality you have. This Ellen Aim kind of especially in that song, your voice and I wrote some notes while you were singing because I wanted to mention it, like your control. And for people that don't understand, I'm trying to mix this thing live, which is has a challenge. But
I saw you do that.
But you are like, you understand what's, obviously you went to production school, but your control and understanding. A lot of first timers, first singers that come out, they have these great voices, and they're
just screaming.
They're eating the mic.
Yeah.
It's like, yo, you got to back up off of that, or they're doing too much. I'm not a big, Barry and I talk about this sometimes. Vocal acrobatics, like the Celine Dion or the even any kind of like you mentioned you did a fantastic
Shakira.
Yeah, the gyrations and the shit. Listen, you got to get into your mode, man. I get it. Like I feel it. You'll see me close my eyes if I'm behind this thing just so I can focus on what I'm saying rather than what I'm seeing. You have a very interesting voice and control of that voice. And I like that you're actually sitting down and not moving on stage, because the power that you have to then channel, you don't rely on any of the physical. You're a physical singer, right? You know, anybody that's seen Jackie, you're very...
If I don't have this thing on me, I'm using a lot of my hands.
Yeah, right.
But that's just, honestly, it's like natural for me.
Yeah, sure.
It's like I'm almost conducting myself. Mm-hmm. And people will tend to notice that, like you're using your hand as like your own, which is fucking weird. I get that.
Yeah.
But I do it, and it like, I don't know, it gets me in the more of the feeling.
In the vibe.
Yeah. And then and I notice the way that I use the microphone, no matter what microphone it is. Usually I can tell when a singer has like really good microphone technique, they don't need to push.
Right.
Like if you know what you're doing when you go back in, and I see artists that do that, there you go.
That's microphone techniques, folks.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Lots of practice.
It is magic when someone is able to use that microphone in such a way that it gets that sound out of their mouth. Well,
you do some interesting things with your jaw as well. I know this will be kind of weird.
I know.
But like it
unhinges. I know.
Yeah.
I'm like a freaking alligator.
Yeah, but that's what you've learned in your control. So I think it's even better that you didn't go to performance school or whatever, because sometimes they will change that, and that's something that's raw, that's inherent in you and makes your sound.
Yeah, when I went to that first semester of Dana school that I dropped out of, my vocal coach was like, I don't know what to do with you. She is that's like my accent for everything. So I don't even know what it is. But she was like, I don't know what to do with you. You're too stylistic of a singer. I just don't have any hope for you.
Thank you.
Well, and here, you're not talking shit on Dana school, but here's the thing. I'm gonna jump into that person's body for a second, because I learned this on stage just recently. I'm not an actor. I mean, I've acted a couple times, but I'm not an actor. And I did this workshop with a brilliant actor and a brilliant director. And so we did these monologues, and I'm very raw. And my physicality was my crutch. I was up on stage and I stood. It was the Alec Baldwin scene. You go back in other episodes, you can listen to it. It was the Alec Baldwin scene in Glenn Ross. And he's like motherfucking people and like, just talking shit, and he's moving. And so I got up on stage and I was calling people out in the audience as if they were the people in the boardroom, and moving around and pointing and all this other shit. And Pendleton, who was Austin Pendleton, was doing the workshop, and he said, gave me my notes and nice job, blah, blah, blah. And I didn't think I was going to have to do it again. So I was nervous as shit the second time, because I knew that was my crutch, just the frenetic energy of my movement.
Yeah.
He was like, I want you to do it a second time, but I want you to sit down. And I was like, oh, fuck. In my head, that's what I thought. I was like, oh, fuck. Because my motion and my physicality on stage was part of the performance. Yeah. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And I did it, and I almost like sat on my hands, And I gotta say, it was better the second time because I had to channel that then instead of whatever. We can take that for what it's worth. People get into their mode. My uncle, again, the late great Frank Castellano. I'm gonna keep plugging you, Unc. I love you. He would, my wife Renee and other people would be like, "Man, your uncle makes some like funny ass faces when he was playing." Remember, he'd be he's a guitarist. He'd be like,
"Yep,
get in there, like getting whacked." And same thing with like you mentioned the unhinging or like some of his thing.
In the zone, man.
He was in the zone, and you're in the zone. I see you on stage on the zone sometimes, and Renee would be like, "Oh my god, this thing's not." Some people need that. I guess this is the compliment. Because it's a challenge too. I'm going to challenge you, Jackie. You go up on stage next time, sit on your hands. Not literally, but figuratively, right? But there's some people that need that shit. There's some people that need a band backing them and auto-tune and every other fucking trick. This is why I think you're real. I didn't find this out till right now. Like, you listen to you play these songs. This is just us. There's 3 people in the room. There's no mixing or any of this shit. Like, that was some raw... Going back to Masachi, that shit was fire. That was on fire. And you don't need all that... I'm not saying don't do it because you're in your mode, but you don't... Some people need that. They need the extra stuff. They need the lights, and you don't need shit. You got a guitar, and you're not even lit properly in here. You got a guitar, and I did probably a shit job mixing, but you sounded fucking phenomenal.
It was great.
And the lyrics were great, too. Yeah. Because that's another thing.
I'm excited for the album.
So that's why I said, where's it? Where can we get it?
Yeah, so I mean, we're gonna be coming out with it in I'm hoping mid-August to late August, but
we won't hold you to it, but we'll be looking for it.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, we're really proud of this, but things went out the window with everything that's been going on. So, but the guys and I were still doing our Zoom Whiskey Wednesdays.
You can follow them on Facebook.
Yep. You follow us on Facebook. The website is thevindys.com right now, but we also are having, we have this thing on Patreon for subscribers to be able to listen to the music first. So right now it's streaming just via radio, but if you want to go and stream the single that is out today, if I want the one I played first, you can go on Patreon, look up the Vindys, and subscribe for $5 a month, and you can get to listen to, especially during this month, you get to listen to the singles that are going to be released. You're going to be able to also hear a couple of podcasts that we're trying to start to do.
Yeah, cool.
Which I haven't done mine yet. I was going to interview the new Vindy, so the bass player, Matt Jackson. So, but John has one up there with Tim Harker in the horn section right now. So you can go on there and listen to it.
Is that on the website?
Patreon.
You can get it on the website, thevindys.com, or you can go to Patreon and look up the Vindys there as well.
That's super dope.
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, we're really excited for this to come out, and maybe this summer, maybe look for some very short noticed pop-up shows.
Yeah.
Nice.
We were thinking about just like
I think you should come down
up.
and play at the alley here on Dave Grohl, right in front of Adam's place or on the side.
Just show up.
Yeah.
Like whoever comes, kind of thing. So
let's get you to Warren.
Top of the building, U2 style.
Top of the building or top of the parking deck.
Yeah.
Hey, if you can make that happen, I mean.
We can make that.
We can fucking make it happen.
We can make that happen.
You're talking to the right guys. Yeah. We can make it happen.
Done.
I do want to ask you a couple other questions, though. I want to ask you about how you get in your mode to write. Like, is it start with you pick up the guitar and play a couple of chords and then it evolves into something else? Or you mentioned journaling. Do you write something first and then add the music? Or
you know what? I actually try to do a bunch of different things all the time. Because if I'm thinking in one box, like starting with the guitar, and if it's not working for me, I'll switch over to trying to figure out a melody in my head, or not even like walking away from it. If it doesn't work for me for 2 hours, I walk away from it, and then the next day in the car, it just hits me, and I have to put it on the voice memo, run home, and pick up the guitar. So it's always different. I know some people like to start one way or the other, but for me, as a creative, it is very helpful to not stay in one box, but to do different boxes, because like on this newest album, you'll see that it was very different how every song was laid out. Like each of that writing, it was not all the same. It was, Rick did a weird riff and I took that and made a song out of it. Like just the one riff. Or John Anthony, my guitarist, has his own tune on there, which is like, that hasn't happened before. He's never like given us a song to go through. And
is he singing on it, or you're singing on it?
No, I'm singing on it.
Music, yeah.
He presented this rockin' song, and I was like, yeah, I dig this. Let me mess with it.
Let me Jackify it. So,
figured out a melody, figured out the lyrics, and and you're gonna be surprised. I'm really interested to hear what people think of this album, because there's a couple familiar things, but it's more of a rock album.
That's cool.
You're
stretching your wings a little bit too. It sounds
I don't like to do the same things over and over again.
Don't do that.
So I have some ballads on there, like Morning Light. I have like a funky dance song. If I do the whole album the same way, I just would be so bored playing it out live. So I mean, unless you're going for a vibe, I don't know. But, to play a set where like it goes up and down and there's dynamics between songs and even in the songs, that's how I see the band, loving what they're doing on stage. So a lot of the writing has gone into, how are we going to play this on stage, and are we going to rock out, and are we going to be like,
You seem like you like to rock out.
I like all of it. So I mean, I mentioned a lot of rock artists that influenced me, but going way back, that those influences of theirs were Etta James and Dinah Washington and
Nina Simone
and Odetta and all these blues.
Yeah, I feel that a lot in a lot of your stuff, especially that classic song. There was a song, I'll go back to Chasin', or the song that you did with, which was kind of like a hybrid. You guys did something that was live with, or you did something that was live with Red Wanting Blue. And you kind of got up on stage and sang with those guys, and really, like, I wasn't familiar with that song. I think it's an original of theirs, and I still don't even know.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
And really, like...
took it over.
Yeah, I got in there and, like, owned it. But the Chasin' song, that's the one that has, like, that kind of that Zeppelin-is. Yeah, dude, it's fucking rad. And I was like, man, dude, she's really, like, in the pocket on this one. Drummers or bass players are talking about it, in the pocket. Like, she's in the pocket. Like, you were feeling it. And I'm excited. The more you talk about the album, I'm more excited. Like, the classic song's cool because, it's got that thing. And the other one was, like, it's like down and dirty.
Yeah, but even our favorite like bands like Rolling Stones or Led Zeppelin, they weren't doing all heavy.
It was all over. Yeah,
they were doing blues stuff. They were doing it all. So.
Are you laying the album out like that too? So it takes you on this journey, like peaks and valleys. Yeah. Are you to that point yet?
It's not a concept album, but it is definitely a vibe. So the title of the album is called Bugs. And
bugs?
Bugs, like insects.
Okay.
Wow, okay.
Which kind of was inspired by a time that I made the news one day for
you didn't get arrested, did you?
No. The Bee-Man, I don't know if you guys know about the Bee-Man.
Yeah.
Okay,
Comes
the
and
Bee-Man,
gets the bees.
I was hearing these crackly, poppy things above my bedroom, like in my walls. And 6 months later, I like touched the ceiling and it's bowing in. Could you imagine if I knocked through it? He said he came
it's all
in.
Vibrating and shit.
Yeah.
5,000 yellow jackets.
Oh my God.
You've been dead.
Yeah.
Dead. That's what he said. One more night and you would have been dead. Like, and he came over. So
I'm scared for you right
too,
now.
man. That's
Getting me the heebie-jeebies.
like the candy man.
But like,
Coming out your mouth and your nose and shit.
oh my God. No, I mean, now I'm going to have nightmares because
Sorry.
that imagery right there, wow. Oh, but also, like, I had been thinking about these bugs and these bees for weeks and weeks and hearing them and everything.
You knew they were there, though, right?
No, not until I saw that
Thought it was in your
famous
head.
video. You remember the famous like news story video that the bee man came out with a hornet nest in the car that he got rid of last summer?
No.
Or 2 summers ago.
I would have just firebomb that shit.
So I was like,
the car's a loss.
I
Chalk
got
it
the
up.
Rice Krispie treat sound. I need to call the bean man.
Oh my God.
The rice.
Yeah, and so I was their second story. Like they're oh yeah, the bee man was famous for this video. So WFMJ. Yeah, gave another video. He came.
Did you get a plug in, though? Speaking about marketing, did you
God,
plug
no.
the Vindies? Did you at least wearing a T-shirt, a Vindy's T-shirt, while they were filming the B-Man segment?
She was a day away from dying.
I know. I know. Honestly, I don't even know how I got through that because if I didn't see that video, I'd be dead. And but about the whole symbolism behind bugs and like, you know, getting in your head, these things that are bugging you, pun intended.
That's cool.
I don't try to make angry music or like, sad, lyrics or whatever, but it just comes out as like, you know what, this is bothering me, or like I went through this and like I gotta get it off of my chest. So to let it go through song and then I just let it go, that is like my creative process right there. That's the way that I that's why I love to write.
The catharsis of art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think Bugs is appropriate. We also have a song about the bee man. So
On the album?
yeah.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear it. Are you going to put bees or something on the cover? Are you guys dressed up in bee costumes on the front? That would be fucking rad.
I wish we did that now. No.
Inside, that's the inside cover.
Little, like blind melon with little girl.
Yeah,
running
right,
Yes.
right.
A little bumblebee like wings. we totally talked about all the possibilities. Hey, it is not, we could totally keep doing that. Especially like it's a fun thing to like
That's
put
for
on
the
a
music
t-shirt,
video. Yeah.
So I'm really excited for that kind of idea to be there, because like I said, this album is very more like well thought out, with all of us.
Is this your first full length?
No, this is the second one.
Right?
Yeah,
Okay.
This is the second.
But you guys did an EP at one point, right? Or
we
no?
did the EP, and some of the songs from that went on to the first LP, Keep Going, in 2017.
That was the. Oh, okay. I'm sorry about the title. The wine song, the Red Wine.
Red Wine.
Is that's from the first? That's one of your earlier songs, right?
Yes. So that is one of the first songs. One of the first songs I ever wrote, along with there was like one song on that EP that I wrote when I was 14 years old, and people still keep bringing it up.
What is it?
You should do it. It's called Something I Can Feel, and we'll play it live a couple times. But like people like the obscure ones, that don't really make it to like the showcase set or anything. They'll be, can you play that song? The one that is
Those are
nice
your
and
real
slow?
super fans.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the deep catalog.
Which is really great to know that there is people out there that are listening intently to the song. So
Was it intimidating? You'd mentioned Rick a couple times, and I'm half brain dead because of just the heat and everything else, but I'm giving myself a disclaimer. Rick Deek, who was with a band that was signed. Give me the history there. He was signed prior to. Did you know that ahead of time, and were you like intimidated to get with? Like, Rick is well known, in the Youngstown music scene.
No, but I didn't know like half of his history until we like really started writing together. So him and I have, especially on this new album, we have really worked together as far as music and lyrics go. He is in the same wavelength somehow as me. And I had at one point, I was just like, this was before the first LP, Keep Going. I had been like just dead as far as like writing, and I was just in this funk, and I was like, maybe I need to co-write for the first time ever. And that sounded so scary to me to try to do, because I'm very like, I'm a, you know, in my bedroom doing my own thing, and then I'll release it. But I'll let others hear it. But I was like, maybe, just like I don't want to stay in one box, like as an artist, like I, put myself out there. I went in and called a couple of friends of mine that I knew were writers and that I respected, and it just didn't click, and it has to click. And that's what happened with me and Rick, and he just got it. And like when I'm thinking one way, he's thinking that way, and it's really cool, interesting.
Simpatico, yeah.
Yeah.
Super cool. And
with his history, I mean, he was in several, local bands up until he was in a band called Cinematic, which was signed to Atlantic back in 2000, 2001.
I have a single probably somewhere here. Or they had a single and they were like all dressed up on the front cover.
Yeah. I have that. So I have that poster above my bed. Like I have my own like girl room with my closet and my clothes everywhere. And that like everything is like Alanis Morissette and all these like girl, like PJ Harvey, like all these girl things. But the one thing I have is the Cinematic, like with the spiky hair and those glasses and the t-shirts, like so 2000s. And so I have that. But I think they only played like a dozen shows around town before they just blew up as far as like getting signed. And that was like really in a time where that was the last of the years that, bands like that got signed.
Right.
And then after that, everything started going to streaming. And then, record deals don't look like that anymore.
Well, Burke was on here. We were talking about that. Jeff Burke was on here.
They got a $1 million recording contract. Like nobody does that now. It's like, you don't see that a lot is what I'm saying. And if you do see it, it's like a 360 deal where they take literally everything that you do.
Yeah.
They take your
publishing and
touring, else, your merch, everything. They basically own you.
Yeah.
Jeff said the only way to make money is be on the road.
Yeah.
It is. And to do it yourself though too. You see a lot of these artists that are winning Grammys, and they've done it. Like some of these people have done it on their own, which is very surprising, and they're getting noticed now. So it's almost like, okay, like it's cool because you have, it's unfortunate but fortunate that we have this area where we can kind of be our own artist. Like no one is pushing us to be like or play the way that we don't want to play, and you get a lot of voices involved in it, and just in contracts and stuff, and that kind of goes, your creativity goes out the window. So there is this really cool time now where people are able to do their own thing, and even though there's less of a pie slice for everybody, but at the same time you're taking a risk on your own thing.
Cream rises to the top. So you guys are at that point where I was probably like 4 or 5 years ago I started hearing about you guys.
Yeah.
And we came up in a different late 90s, early 2000s, and there was a scene, but it was mostly, I can't even say that. It was mostly covered locally, but there was GBE and Gary and different guys, but like all that stuff went away, and the publishing world has changed too, right? Like these deals don't exist anymore. Burke was talking about the record thing. We talked about Michael Dempsey the other day, and you're setting your own I'll use your term, Barry, trailblazers. Like you guys are kind of trailblazing, and because you're artists, and hold on to that. this is no disrespect to anybody, and I love what I do, and I'm fortunate to be able to do it. But I'm a whore sometimes, right? Like, I got to go out and I'm going to make a commercial for someone, and that's not my art or message or passion or love. I mean, I pour my passion and love into it.
That's how you eat.
That's how I eat.
Like, there you go.
But I think what's cool about you guys is like, hey, we're not going to be a wedding band. We're not going to be a cover band. We are going to be the Vindys and create this sound, man. And it's cool. Barry and I always talk about like the Seattle sound and all that other stuff. Yeah. And like this vibe that you guys are a catalyst of is super awesome. Like, it's keep doing what you're doing, I guess is my point. I'm pleading with you.
The one thing is, though, and people will give us flack for sometimes, like other artists, it's that we all have regular jobs.
You have to.
We all have full-time, like, daytime jobs.
You have to.
And then we do music every single day at night. Yeah. Like, we're all there for each other at night. We're talking, we're doing business, we're sending emails.
That's called smart. Yeah. It's called being smart.
I mean,
I'm going to quit everything and I'm just going to do my art. There's nothing wrong with that once you get to that point, because I want to get there.
I wish I could do that.
Yeah, we all want to get there.
I want to be brave enough to do that. But like,
you'll get to that stage while you're doing this. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and yeah, it's almost like putting that fishing line out there to see what kind of catch you're going to get as far as different markets and stuff that we've been, exploring in Chicago and New York and Nashville.
Oh, well, that's Warren for you. Honking the horns.
Why, yada.
Yeah, Burger King.
So, part of what you were saying earlier is about going out and listening to bands. And I want to ask you this because I wanted to ask you this earlier. What are some of the bands locally that you go out and dig on?
Oh, don't even ask me that.
Oh, okay. We'll skip that question.
No, I'm saying because, I mean,
you go see everybody.
So, like, if I am not playing a show, I make it a point to go see one of my friends' bands in town if I'm not going to see, a concert in Cleveland or Pittsburgh or whatever, But I am such an avid for, buy a ticket for $5. Yeah. $5
Pay the
to
cover
go
charge,
see,
you cheap bastards.
Like, it's Tuesday night. Right. You're not doing anything. Go see a local band that's playing.
Who is it? Who are you going to see? Who do you see a lot?
I see it not a lot this past year.
Well, sure.
But a lot of our friends, Radio Lark, which Rick is in that band as well. He's
Chris Ratution, yeah.
Chris Ratution. Mm-hmm. We try to go see JD Iker and Demos Papademos.
Demos, yeah, man, no doubt.
East 9th or whatever, honestly, it can be any of these. And honestly, I could probably go on and tell you about 30 different bands just in the Youngstown area.
Do you get called up a lot? They're like, oh, Jackie's in the audience. Like, hey, Jackie, come up and sing with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I hate that because I'm usually drunk because I'm drinking. Like, I'm out. Like, don't ask me to work. What the hell is wrong with you?
That's not iced tea in the Whiskey Wednesdays videos. That's real whiskey. Yeah,
no. So I am, out and they'll, say hop up on a, Zeppelin tune with me or whatever, and I'll do it. And I probably don't sound good drunk. I know I don't, because I've seen videos of me in the band. I'm like, no drinking before show ever again. They'll try to sneak, like, the horn section is always already, like, they're hammered, they're lit before we're going on. I'm like, guys,
tuning up.
They're the worst offenders, and I don't say anything because they're that good on stage anyway. But no, yeah, I try to go out and see, local bands as much as possible.
I dig that you said that, because if you're not a patron of the arts, you can't really ask someone else to, like, support.
Exactly.
Right? Like, oh, come and see our show, or come and fucking, like, you didn't go out. And that's one thing about Barry. When he started, he was having these shows, go listen to episode 39 for those who are listening to 40 now. He went to see every local show, whether he thought you were good or whether you were just starting out or whatever it was. He went to every show, and I know that because we went to a lot of shows together. that's so important because it lends to your credibility and to your, I mean, really, you probably pick up a lot of stuff from going to see these local guys as well.
Oh, I mean, you know, performance is the coolest thing to see a band do, especially for the first time if you've never seen them before. You're like, I am so curious as to what these guys are like on stage. And then you notice, oh my God, this bass player, he's got a mean face, mean mug face. Love this guy, okay? The drummer, he's got his thing. His body is just pulsing, you know? Or the singer is just on the floor, maybe, and they're doing, you know, spinning. They're spinning on the floor. They're jumping into the crowds or something. I live for that. I live to see other bands and what they're doing.
You ever do any crowd surfing while you're up on stage? I'm just kind of curious. You gonna dive out at some point, like what's that shit? What's the movie with School of Rock? And he dives out at the end.
And they finally catch him.
Yeah,
that has been my one like lifelong dream.
We have to do that for you.
Is to crowd surf, and
when we have you in Dave Grohl Alley, Warren, Ohio, listen up. We're gonna crowd surf Jackie down the alley.
We'll make sure we catch you.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been to a few shows where like the audience, like fans, will like get up on the stage and just jump off of the stage up on the edges, and I was like so close to doing that at the House of Blues one night, and then I got chicken out. So.
Or you got smart. You never know.
Probably.
You feel one way, they're feeling one way, and maybe they're feeling a different way.
Like, listen, my parents paid a lot of money for my teeth, so I am not going to disrespect them by landing on my face on the floor.
Tell us about your family a little bit, something that people don't know. You mentioned your mom is Mexican. Do you speak Spanish? Is question number one. Number two, I love that your mom was your first critic. Does she still do that? Question number two. And question number three,
wow.
Do you have siblings, and are they into the arts?
Okay, nobody's in the arts. Like nobody at all.
I mean, backwards.
As far as like
how many siblings do you have?
As far as music goes, I have 2 younger sisters.
Oh.
As we were growing up, and my mom is like this hot-blooded Mexican like stereotype. Like seriously, she is like always like my biggest critic and also my biggest supporter. You know,
for sure.
You know,
Awesome.
She was always there with me, always going to my dance classes or always going to my shows, and then you know, growing up, it was.
Your sisters?
Yeah, they didn't really have anything of the musicality as far as, you know, listening to music. I remember being in my room, and I'm doing this now during COVID, being in my room and laying on the floor and listening to music.
Headphones on?
Headphones on,
yeah, right.
Or in a good sound, you know, sounding room or whatever. But nobody does that anymore. Like, I haven't done that in a long time. And now that I have all this time, I feel like so nostalgic for wanting to just listen to an album through.
That's
Everything
cool.
is about singles now. Everything is about Spotify. And to just put on an album and listen to it on vinyl.
Yes.
It's just a magical experience that you might not like every single song. But, like, if you just sit there and vibe out and, like, you know... It's the most, like, rewarding feeling. And I forgot that for a long time. I grew up like that. I did that. I grew up like that. I was laying on the floor, had my candles on, listening to music, just vibing
Little
out.
hippie.
Yeah. No, I was doing my yoga or whatever.
A little roach clip in the corner.
But... I mean, we don't do that. Everything is so fast paced. It's like you hear a clip of a song and you're like, next, you know, so you don't really get the vibe of, you know, the album or the band, or you can't. I mean, I like to go back, and right now I'm listening to the Black Crowes and listening through their whole discography and learning a lot about, okay, this is how a band develops. Like, what did they do on that sophomore album? What did they do on that third? And did they splinter off, and what did they do after that? And I don't know names, I don't know album covers or anything, but I'm starting to like get back into that listening of music through.
You're consuming right now.
I'm consuming.
Every great artist, sometimes we feel guilty about it. this is a philosophy, it's not mine, but we feel guilty about it sometimes, that we consume, like, oh my God, I should be putting stuff out instead of just consuming. But every great artist is a great consumer as well. And usually their consumption is so voracious that they have to have constant input. Like, I'm watching a ton of shit during COVID, you know, talk about COVID, and you're listening to music, you know?
Or music documentaries, too. Like, those are super important.
Have you seen the Nina Simone documentary?
Yes, I have.
Fucking, did you see that, Barry?
No, I have not.
Dude, you gotta check it out.
That's a sad documentary.
Oh, see, I don't want to see something sad.
No.
Well, like, it's just like her.
I mean, COVID's made me sad enough. What else do you want to do?
Yeah, but like, it tells you how much of herself or her self-awareness and her angst or whatever was put into her music, you know, and that's where she came from. And she's, I mean, of that time and everything, and that can be a whole other conversation, but
the catharsis of art.
Yeah. And like I had mentioned that earlier, that I watched that Grateful Dead documentary. I'm not a Dead fan, and I will say, like, on, you know, like, people are Deadhead, like crazy Deadheads, right here
around the country.
Yeah. And until I saw this documentary, I didn't understand until I saw this documentary that this band was taking music down to its purest form, and they were going based on solely the feel of what they were going for, the feel of what it should be. And they might have a 15-minute song, you know, and you're like, that's not playable for radio.
China Cat Sunflower.
You know?
What's this opus that they've done here?
Right. But it's one of those bands, and I've never seen, I don't know another band that is just pure form music like that. Like, they're probably one of the first, you know, real hippie bands that came out that just
Fish
did it
is that
based
way
on
a lot too.
Fish.
Fish will, you know, riff for 35-minute song about an antelope.
Yeah.
I mean, and people are like,
Yeah. Well, I think that it's, to go back to earlier what you said about albums and listening to albums, and how we're in this consumer culture that is very, if it's not appeasing me right now, I don't want to wait. You don't have patience for it. And, you know, Jeff Burke, who we've mentioned already, like, this resurgence of albums.
slowing down.
Yeah, like, and that's here's a silver lining. I'm all about trying to find silver linings during this time of COVID.
Yeah.
That's part of the silver lining, is finding the patience and we have a little bit of the time now. We're nervous and frenetic. Will I go back to work? Did I expose myself? Did I put my mask in my pocket, or, whatever people get. I don't want to get to the other politicized bullshit, but we have a little bit of time. We're able to now slow the fuck. Gary Lee. This goes back to Gary Lee. Gary Lee and the Cat Daddies back in the 90s and 2000s. He actually is working on some new music.
Sweet.
He would say, everybody just slow the fuck down.
And live.
And just live
or
and listen.
Think.
Or think, yeah.
Just think.
Right.
Sit
Without
by
question.
yourself and have your own thoughts. I mean, there is a time there where we were like, go, 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 as far as the band is concerned, and try to get as many, shows in, as many, face imprints for people, like do meet and greets and do this. And that takes a toll on you mentally as an artist, as a creative. I need isolation, because then I start going back to the things that made me an artist to begin with, like listening to albums and like listening and figuring out, just even in the slightest details, how tone works and how this singer does something. Or you just study these people just like you study any art, you and you look and see what other people are doing, and it's a beautiful thing. And that's why it is a blessing and a curse right now for COVID to happen for artists.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about some of your influences, in the past and locally here. Who's some of your contemporary, like, who's someone you're not being able to see? that's out there in the lexicon. That's more popular culture. Not necessarily, they don't have to be the Rolling Stones or Aerosmith, but like,
You know what? Growing up, the only band that I really like followed was Coldplay, actually.
Yeah.
At the time. And I actually went that day that they released the album. I went out there to Best Buy.
Viva La Vida?
All of it.
Yeah, me too.
Since Parachutes, since, the beginning,
Yellow.
I felt, everything.
Yep, right.
But
I dig them too. They're cool.
But recently, I have been into some really cool rock bands, indie bands. There is this band out of Australia called, I was just listening to them on the way here. It's called Tropical Fuckstorm.
Wow.
Look it up.
All right.
Really great.
I'm writing it down.
They played in Cleveland. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds blew my mind when I saw them at Carnegie in Pittsburgh. That was one of the coolest. They treated him like he was a god. And his stature and his band, it was just like the weirdest
Wait, is
concept.
Nick Cave in Tropical Bad Storm? You're talking about this is separate.
Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds is different.
Okay, yeah.
And they're
I know
also
them, but
from
I didn't
Australia.
know if they're right. I didn't know if he was like in that band. I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah. Who else? Like right now, I love Fiona Apple's new album. I don't know if you've heard it.
No, I haven't.
I love her too.
Yeah.
So
Criminal.
It's my daughter's middle name, Fiona.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So she came out. It's been a long time, and she came out with this album that is like the weirdest and most original and most like creative thing that she's probably ever put out.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. It's insane. You have to listen to it through and listen to her lyrics and listen to what the drumming is doing, and you're like, she is a genius. She knows phrasing better than any other vocalist too, and she's.
I have to go get this.
Yeah, me too. 'Cause she was one of my favorites.
Yeah, I liked her too because I don't know if she's still married or they just dated, but she was she dated or had a relationship or was married with to Paul Thomas Anderson, who did Magnolia and Boogie Nights and
The Frogs.
Yeah, the Frogs. Is this real? Does this happen? Yeah. I drink her milkshake. I drink it up. He fucking hits that dude with the bowling ball. Anyways, you ever see those movies?
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know Boogie Nights.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
good stuff. Good stuff.
But yeah, them. I mean, I saw U2 the night after I saw Nick Cave, and that is a whole other experience. I was front row. I was right there in front of.
Damn, how much are those front row tickets, man? You got the Jeff Burke connection?
Yeah, man.
Honestly, it was GA admission, and everyone just like
rushed
stacked out there.
Yeah.
So like we were there 4 hours earlier, so that's so that was that. But and there was a chick there that was like trying to get in my way, and I was like,
You body slammed her?
Pushed her out.
I wanted to get to her so bad. And then One Love comes on. I'm like, girl, come here. I'm so sorry.
She's got a black eye.
I was like, she's trying to get in front of me. And then next thing you know, One Love, of course. And I'm like, oh, I love you. I love all women. Come on, like, let's be friends. And, oh my God. Women power.
Do you find yourself being hypercritical now of musical acts or bands or stuff because you have
I try not to.
Yeah.
I try not to. I try to let it be its thing but of course you're going to be like, oh my God, that drummer is not doing it. Like, or they'd be great if, I sometimes put bands together in my head. I'm like, this singer needs to be in this band, like I start
super groups.
Yeah.
Nice.
But I think everybody does that, and honestly, everybody can dish it on me the same way that I would dish it on anybody else. So I don't care. That's what we do. I mean, that's what you go out to shows and do.
Well, I think that's cool that you're able to take the criticism. Hopefully it's critical and not just like, I don't like her or whatever. We talked about that the other time too.
Well, some people don't. Like I've had women come up to me and say, I hate women singers, but I like you. Like, there's something cool about you.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, I have had converts that they were like, yeah, I didn't like you at first. And like, yeah. And they become my best friends.
Well, truthfully, we didn't know exactly how the show was going to go.
Yeah.
And I'm a believer now.
Me
like,
too.
I'm on Team Jackie. Not that I wasn't before anyways. Obviously, we wanted to
I've
have you
made
on
you
the show.
vindicators.
Yes. Yeah.
Nice.
Vindicators for prodders out there that aren't from the area. The Vindicator was the newspaper of Youngstown up until recently, and the Vindys are named after them. I don't know if that's true. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but
Oh, totally. I
the
mean,
Vindy and the Vindicator, yeah.
The Vindy and the Vindicator.
Yeah.
Vindy's, I wanted to put a stamp on the town and say, no. We're going to bring our town with us.
That's so awesome.
We're going to do it from this town, and we're going to show other people that it can be done. And, not that, I mean, we're still climbing, but what I'm saying is that we're going to bring this community with us because that's what people believe in. And
Awesome.
And yeah, I want to be that for other people because I didn't have a route when I was a kid. I was like, I had to like make it for myself.
Trailblazer. Jackie is very similar to upcoming guest, middleweight world champion Kelly Pavlik. The first time I met him, I'm not telling secrets here,
But I am like jacked too, just like Kelly.
Yeah.
You are jacked. Like you're jacked, and then you're
Jacked.
He's
And much in that way, that same way that I'm very fit, like Kelly.
You are pretty fit, but I think what's even more is that your soul's jacked and that you remember where you're from. Because the first time I ever met him, he was like, just like you guys. I had been hearing about this kid who was a boxer, and I followed boxing and boxed and knew the players and stuff. Like, everyone was like, this Kelly Pavlik dude from Youngstown, he's really good. And I was like, okay, there's all this hype. And then I met him after he had beat a couple of guys. I think it was before the Edison Miranda fight. And he said, never forget it. We were drinking beer and partying, having a great time. And he goes, someday I'm going to be the middleweight champion of the world, and I'm going to put the city of Youngstown on my shoulders and lift it up. And I was like, I'm fucking with this dude.
Yep.
Now,
The ghost.
I didn't necessarily know if that was going to be the case because this is, again, I'm not telling secrets here. Kelly could slam, man. We were partying pretty good that night. And I was like, man, I don't know this fucking. He's a professional athlete.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I was like, but
you should go to bed.
I reminded him of that story. Yeah, right. It probably
Don't you have to be up at 6 a.m.?
Don't you have to run, dude? What the hell are you doing?
2:30 in the morning.
You're taking Youngstown? Okay.
But that's Jackie Popovec style too. Yo, we're gonna bring Youngstown right with us, man.
I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. One more time, Jackie. Tell us where we can hear the music, see the music, find out about you guys, and follow you because we're super fans now. We want everybody else to be super fans as well.
Well, if you guys want to follow us via any platform, really, you can find our music on Spotify, Amazon, iTunes, YouTube. We've got an Instagram and Facebook, but everything is the handle The Vindys. So if you want to look us up, and the website is thevindys.com. As soon as we get this album out here, like I said, we'll be notifying you guys. And if you'd like to hear the new single now, it's on radio, or you can go stream it on Patreon. So you can go look it up there, look up the Vindys, subscribe to us for $5 a month, and it helps us, a little bit. And you can listen to all these new things before everybody else. So
will you come back on the show and we can, part 2, we'll talk about super groups. We'll start to pair up super groups.
Oh, God. Okay, I like it. I'll do it.
All right. You've heard it here, folks. You've heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Jackie's coming back for round 2, where we're going to do some super groups.
Round 2.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
Until the next time, Jackie, I want to make sure that when you're out there, when you come the next time, your car looked very clean today, but I want to make sure that your car is super clean. So I'm going to take this Coates Car Care gift card that is an express exterior wash that I was originally sending to Michael Newsy, but his address was incorrect. Michael, I'll get you another one.
Oh, boom, boom, boom.
When you get your address correct. Jackie, have you ever been to Coates Car Care?
I have not.
What?
Oh, okay. Well, you're going to be in for a disco
But you
experience.
were talking about them like up a storm earlier, and I know how, dirty my car is, so.
Your car looked pretty good. When I helped you get that guitar out of the car, it was pretty clean. But we can get it cleaner. They can do better for you. If you're really smart and you get if anybody ever wins, when you win, the Express Exterior Wash, which we draw out of the hat, check out the Prodcast.net, powered by MDI Studios. You can sign up for a free giveaway. When you get that clean car card, you can give that to them and upgrade it to the wash and wax, where that shit's super gleaming. It's like lasers and lightning.
The WW.
Yeah, and you should probably, when you go and use this card, Jackie, you should turn the disco music up, do the upgrade, and you'll see bubbles and
Was there,
light show.
Light show?
It's like entertainment.
God.
Eat some mushrooms.
Yeah.
I am so there, man.
Yes.
I love that.
I dig it. Hey, listeners, lovers, and friends, until the next time, stay electrified, stay safe, love each other, and check out thevindys.com. The Vindys, Vidys, Vindys.com. Jackie, thank you for coming and hanging out.
Thanks for having us, guys. Thanks for having me.
You're amazing. See you next time. Thanks, guys.